Well, so we have to look at what we have by way of news to review, and we'll do a number of portals. MyJoyNews.com. We'll go internationally, look at the Africa page of the BBC, the home page. We will do CNN, and possibly, if we have time, we'll do Sky as well. Excuse me. And please, right now, could you start with MyJoyNews.com? Could you?
Oh, I didn't realize you were coming to me that quickly.
Okay.
I'm just opening my JoyNews.com right now, having technological challenges.
All right.
In fact, why don't we start with what you have in front of you, and by the time you're done, I should have this thing.
Okay. So I will do my Joy Online, then you do BBC subsequently. You do the Africa page and the World page before I go on to CNN, and then you do Sky. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's start with myjoyonline.com. With the benefit of technology, we're able to do that smoothly for you. And this is the foremost portal for us. All news we aggregate here, publish here for you. You also get links to our YouTube channel and page, etc. Now, look, let's tell you what stories we have. Main story or top story: lockdown. Police vowed to be tough from Monday, and they were tough. I had some torrid times, early onset from home, and took me some time getting into the studio. And I hope that they follow through subsequently, looking at how people, the ordinary Ghanaian, is flouting the lockdown guidelines or rules. Ghana records 158 new COVID-19 cases, bringing the total to 566. If we have an extra 6 today, people will say adding to 5666. We'll say it's the Antichrist. But we'll move on. Stay away from all the beaches. The police already issuing a statement and warning. Meanwhile, on the side, a fake journalist has been alerted that his work that he's doing is fake. Of course, it makes a lot of sense. So it's been captioned: fake journalist arrested for extorting money from shop owners at Buduburam. Western Volta regions record their first number of cases of coronavirus. Meanwhile, Ghana's coronavirus private sector fund, called the Ghana COVID Private Sector Fund, to construct a 100-bed isolation treatment facility. It's part of their objectives. And deadly tornadoes, meanwhile, in 2 U.S. cities caused catastrophic damage. We already do know now the U.S. is now the epicenter of the disease, moved subsequently from Asia, China, to the U.S. Nutritional protection in the face of COVID-19. Some great nutritional tips that you need. Meanwhile, a story that Jojo Kwabena did yielded positive result, and an old papa's wish of sleeping on a mattress before death comes true. You just have to check the story out, read the story, also watch the clip, and you will love it. But the good thing I love about the layout or the look and feel of myjoyonline.com, it's how the graphics have been done. Look, artistically beautiful. And we have real-time data for you. The Ghana number of cases, we have 566 confirmed. Deaths, we're talking number 8, and recovered 4 so far. Meanwhile, the global perspective is also there for you. On the left or right side, we have 1.8 million cases so far, 114,000 deaths, and 423,000 people haven't recovered from coronavirus. Okay, could you?
Let's have a look at the stories on BBC Africa's website. The big one is Africans evicted in China over virus rumors. This is a growing story of xenophobia in China we need to keep an eye on. How the spread of coronavirus is testing Africa is another one that's on the homepage of BBC Africa. Push-ups to fake guests. Curious African coronavirus moments. Fascinating stories there that have been compiled by the BBC. South Africa's lockdown extension condemned, and hopes dashed in Democratic Republic of Congo as new Ebola case reported. Can you imagine, in the midst of coronavirus, Ebola rears its head? That's the last thing you want. Also, Libyan coronavirus hospital closes amid attacks. That's a strange one there. Not sure what's going on with that. But in Lagos, they've started house-to-house coronavirus survey. They're not calling it testing, they're calling it a survey. And in Botswana, an MP has been caught breaking the coronavirus rules. Certainly not going to deal with him lightly. Air Zimbabwe staff to go on unpaid leave. It's the first African airline I'm hearing of that has had to take such measures. Zambian footballer stuck in India during lockdown. That's a story on BBC Africa. And great apes on lockdown over threat of coronavirus. Right, now let's go to the BBC World homepage, where the big story is China reports highest infection count in weeks. They've had 108 confirmed new infections on Sunday. Almost all of them came in from abroad. Weddings, births, and deaths in the age of COVID-19. That's a story from Africa. A true icon, tributes paid to larger-than-life Moss. I think that might be Sterling Moss, who was a Formula One driver. Africans evicted in China over virus rumors. That's also here. South Africa's mysterious coronavirus lull. That is one of the most worrying things. When you don't get new cases, you wonder whether it's because you're not testing or whether people are actually not contracting the disease. Record deal to cut oil output ends price war. And enhanced images reveal life on stricken spacecraft. Also, UK enters fourth week of lockdown ahead of reviews. And that will do it for the BBC in Africa and around the world.
I'll come back and...
shall I continue with CNN?
Yeah, you can. You can.
Okay, why not? China tightens grip over coronavirus research. Japanese Prime Minister's video at home with pet dog meets social media backlash. China's Navy is controlling coronavirus and aircraft carriers deployment proves it, according to a report. There are live updates, 1.8 million cases around the world. It's so fast how we're going from 1 million to 2 million cases. It took a long time to get to 1 million cases, but we're galloping towards 2 million. Virus fears spark xenophobia in China. Will this Japanese anti-flu drug work for COVID-19? This is the drug that the Japanese have discovered and want other countries to try for free to see if it'll work. Trump's friend dies of coronavirus, and that's a story on CNN's front page. Virus may dash Trump's plan for a big bang economic opening. Deadly tornadoes in U.S. South cause catastrophic damage. When it rains, it pours, literally. And there are lines at food banks which are growing as some farmers destroy food. So it's looking dire out there, according to CNN's front homepage. All right. A couple of entertainment stories from CNN, if you're interested. They're still managing to keep this part of our life informed. Not everyone wants Tiger King in their life, even in quarantine. And this is the story about a guy with a tiger who is on lockdown. Netflix's new dating show is basically extreme social distancing for money. I can't wait to see that. Indeed. And Amy Schumer and her husband are getting their own self-filmed Food Network show. Amy Schumer is a comedian.
Yeah. And
Ty Burrell is providing relief for restaurant workers impacted by coronavirus closures. So many stars have done that. Tyler Perry over the weekend paid for all the food for certain at-risk groups who were shopping in a number of supermarkets in a couple of states of the U.S. In fact, it was quite touching the way he did it, because in the U.S., they organize schedules for people to go shopping. And those who are considered to be at risk, those with pre-existing conditions, those who are above a certain age, they all go out shopping at a certain time so that they won't come into contact with other people who might increase their chances of getting it. So while those people were in the shops, Tyler Perry just paid for everybody's shopping. They came up to the checkouts, and it was all paid for.
Wow!
Beautiful moment.
Wow! And that's what we say. If you have, you're in a position to give to somebody around you, you should be able to make that impact. Yeah. A lot of lives have become still as a result of this. But Kojo, one of the good things that has also hit the international media scene is the fact that Boris Johnson, the PM for the UK or Britain, has now recovered and is now home to get some home treatment.
I was so excited.
Yes.
So excited, Ro, when I saw him deliver his speech. And there are a number of lessons to learn from that speech, you know. He talks about how the NHS saved his life. He says the NHS is the beating heart of England. And he sums up the whole fight against COVID-19 in one simple way. He says, as long as they can keep their NHS staff alive, coronavirus cannot beat them. So really, the fight is between the healthcare staff and the virus. If we can keep the healthcare staff alive, they can keep us alive.
Yeah.
It's really as simple as that. And to keep them alive, we need to equip them, give them the PPE, give them their motivation and incentive, and also the equipment to save us. You know, that's it.
Yeah. Let me just do Skype and then Sky News, and then we'll come and talk about how we need to make sure that we treat our own well, we develop our own well, so that in times like this, we know that we have a good health system. And you go to Sky, that's sky.com, Sky News. It said, who are the NHS nurses praised by the Prime Minister for standing by my bedside for 48 hours? And they give you a real human interest peek into the lives of these NHS staff, but a number of them in the UK are doing great work. And the Prime Minister recovering at checkers ahead of social distancing rules review. Delays in plasma therapy trials are wasting valuable time for COVID-19 patients. But you know, research takes a lot of time, and this is what the story is just telling you. It's just not easy, despite all the news going around. Right now, it's just a trial and error period we're experiencing, because it takes some time for you to come out with a vaccine, for you to go through all the, all the measures and then get it approved. When will the lockdown end, and how do we get out of it? That's an opinion there, and what you need to do. Across the world, the Sky also gives you, it says Spain to lift some of its coronavirus lockdown rules, and some offices will be open from tomorrow. But look, that's many economies around the world are having some torrid time. But there was some good news for the oil producing countries, and this is well captured. They said OPEC agrees to cut oil barrel production after demand drops, and so they'll cut the production to make sure they increase demand. And then the supply subsequently will be trickling in just in smaller bit to raise the prices. That's just the economies of scale of it. Calls for better treatment of foreign NHS staff as health workers fight COVID-19. Meanwhile, there's a good one there for the Easter and for the Resurrection Sunday. Andrea Bocelli, the great opera singer from Italy, performed Easter prayer in an empty Milan cathedral, but you go to YouTube, it was a sight to behold. I watched it and it was marvelous. It was marvelous. All right, and Kojo, let's talk about how we need to develop our own. I have said, and I know this is controversial, and many people have shared this on social media. If just like Ebola, if the outbreak had started in Africa, we'll have the politicians of the African continent quickly, if they were infected or with their families, traveling to the developed countries where usually they like going to get treatment. But now it started from the other side. So all of them have been kept at bay, at home. But it has exposed how weak our health system is, how we have decided to neglect our health system, not investing in research and development. For example, Ghana, we have KNUST, the University of Ghana. We produce some of the best scientists. We don't give them the budget to do research, to come out with the scientific breakthroughs and many things that we could have done domestically based on our circumstance and environment to help ourselves.
I agree. And you know, I've been asking my friends this question. I saw a picture of some politicians wearing face masks. This was at a time when there was a shortage of face masks for frontline workers. Admittedly, now there has been a supply of, PPE. We don't know if they have enough. A lot of them are still complaining they don't have enough. But at a time when they didn't have any at all, many of them didn't have any at all, there were some politicians wearing face masks and wearing them wrong. So they would cover their nose and mouth, and cover their mouth and leave their nose, making the mask pointless. And meanwhile, those who needed it couldn't get any. And I had a debate about this on a platform I'm on with some friends of mine. And they kept saying, well, I mean, the politicians are human beings too. They should also, they also deserve to protect themselves and all that. And I said, look, we're in a crisis. We're in a war. All of a sudden, certain people are more important than others. To put it in context, Roland, if I ask you, you are being sent to a desert island, and you can take only one person with you. Now, the catch is that there is a virus on that island. So you can either take a doctor, or in fact, you can either take a nurse or a politician. Who will you take with you?
For me to be cared well, I think I'll take a nurse. It makes a lot of sense.
So you see, under certain circumstances, politicians are useless.
Well,
when there's a virus ravaging the nation,
I don't think so.
The last thing you need is to risk the lives of those who are most important. And those are the frontline staff. So for me, we need to reprioritize our nation. This virus needs to teach us to reprioritize. If you have money, will you buy a 4x4 or an ambulance? If you have money, will you build a chamber for parliament or a hospital? These are the questions we should start asking ourselves. If you have money, will you appoint a new minister, or will you employ nurses? This is the world we live in today. We need to start asking ourselves questions about what matters. Because when it's all said and done, politicians serve a purpose, but they can't save your life.
Well, they can save your life by getting the monies approved in Parliament for you to get the purchases made.
I would much rather have 275 more nurses and have Parliament shut down. No more laws. Let's just have more nurses.
Yeah, that's what public health emergency brings you. You make the decisions based on priority. But you celebrated your birthday yesterday, Juliana Ankuche Ashiagbo. You are the wife of a good friend of mine, Elom, who teaches at the Vakpo High School. And Juliana, have a great day. I know yesterday was the day, but today is the holiday that we all can celebrate. Well, I wish you all the best for the day as well. All of you as well, but we have to go for a break. We'll bring you the latest sports update. It's up next. Do stay with us.